Warning, this podcast was produced by two men who still think that swearing is both big and clever. As a result, it contains quite a lot of it. Therefore, this podcast is not suitable for children, unless they're really fucking cool children. Yes, people. Dave Fensom here with another episode of Pop Collaborate and Listen, joined as always by my very, very good friend, Mr. Christopher.
Well, hello everyone. How exciting to be back.
Yes, indeed. It is exciting to be back, actually.
It's a goodie, yeah?
It is exciting to be back, man. Off the back of an incredibly bad dose of norovirus.
Yeah, Dave's been explaining in great detail how much he was vomiting and shitting.
I haven't even given you the graphic detail.
Well, in that case, I'm fine just where we got to.
Yeah,
that's great.
You'll never eat a gravy-based meal again. I don't think I could put you off gravy.
No.
So here we are, motherfuckers. This is a bonus episode, first bonus episode of
Season 6.
Yeah, 1995. We discussed it last week. It will be of no surprise for anyone that was listening. This one is on the Bends, Radiohead.
I know, what an album. So this is one that whenever we do specials, it's because they never got to number 1. Mm-hmm. And this is an album that got to number 6 on release in March of 1995.
Yep.
And in fact, it was 30 years ago yesterday that it was released.
Yes, indeed.
We were recording on the 14th of March, and it was released on the 13th of March, 1995.
So, Krista, if you listen to the podcast regularly, you will know that Krista was far more established in the kind of indie world,
yes, indeed,
than I was at the time. So, Pablo Honey, were you a fan?
Not really. No, that was my issue with Radiohead back at this time was that I thought Creep wasn't very good. Uh-huh. It was very, very overplayed. And, it's fine. I say it's not very good, it's overplayed, and I thought it was average at best. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of put me off Radiohead. And so I wasn't into Pablo Honey. And therefore, whenever this album was kind of mooted and a couple of the singles were coming out, I wasn't excited at all. And in fact, because I was an absolute dickhead, I was too snobby, and I went, Radiohead, they're the fucking Creep guys. I don't want to know about this. Yeah. And I ignored this album for a little while before I finally gave in and went, I'll give it a try. And so I wasn't day one getting this. I wasn't raring to go because I was such a Radiohead fan. And it took me a minute to get into this at all. What about yourself?
Very much the same. When Creep came out, I looked down my nose at Creep. Uh-huh. It was like this is just like fucking knockoff alt rock. I think the thing that scared me most in the early 90s was that I might accidentally get caught listening to something that was shit.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no, I've by mistake liked something indie.
Something inauthentic.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had no issue listening to bands like Dog Eat Dog and Biohazard.
Yeah.
Saw Biohazard live last week.
Yeah, good.
Biohazard are fine, but I wouldn't see Life of Agony, really.
Right,
Life
sure.
of Agony were fucking incredible.
Lovely.
And plus I had this big indie blind spot. I kind of was aware of Radiohead through, even through this entire cycle, these songs got played and I remained, oh no, Radiohead are not a band for me. It wasn't until OK Computer became, I guess, just inevitable, really, that I had to go. And so this album, at the time it came out, I never listened to it intentionally. It's still a bit of a blind spot to me. I mean, I've heard it, I've been through it and stuff, but it's not an album that I've ever really listened to loads. Obviously, I know the singles very well.
But also, I'm assuming in the same way that whenever we did our last episode on Elastica, we came to the conclusion that album is not a Britpop album, even though it was lumped in with that scene.
Sure.
This album was, again, it was lumped in with that scene, much to the dismay of Radiohead, for nothing else. But because it was in the middle of everything else going on, and they were an English band, and it wasn't a rock album per se, it was still on that indie guitar thing, they were like, oh, it's another Britpop act. Yeah. And that's how they were talked about in the press quite a lot. Or they were compared to U2, which is another thing. This doesn't fit.
Wow, you really are putting a rock in a hard place, aren't you?
Yeah, so
a hard rock and a bad place.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you were probably put off by the association of that as well in 1995.
So a hard rock and a small face, that should have been the joke.
Oh, that's nice.
There we go.
That'll do.
That should have been a gag. But okay, I was very much put off by this. I thought it was kind of maybe a bit fey indie. I hadn't really paid enough attention to Tom York. Tom York voice is very much an acquired taste.
Your ear
has got to find it, I think.
Yeah,
and I think I wasn't in that place. I thought it was a bit fey and a bit kind of wishy-washy. And it's weird. I love a big pop tune, but I kind of demand something a bit more challenging out of my rock music.
Sure, okay.
Generally, and whether that's aggression, technicality, or just general contrariness. One of those things.
Mr. Bungle, for example.
Yeah, Mr. Bungle, right? Yeah. Tool being a thing, but Radiohead, OK Computer is an indie Tool album, really.
Right, yeah, it does. It hits
ways.
those points, yeah.
And and that is.
But Pablo Honey hadn't, is the thing. So I was coming off the back of going, oh, that's what Radiohead is.
Yeah.
I don't care about Radiohead then. And I would lump them in with the likes of Birdland and that sort of indie stuff from back then. I was going, not my thing. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
And by the time 93 was coming round and they were putting Pablo Honey out, I was far too into the grunge thing, and I was going, oh, they're just ripping off Nirvana, for example, or whoever. So, this isn't for me. And I was so stubborn in my head that whenever this was coming round, I was like, oh, no, I think I've decided this. I don't like Radiohead.
But by the time this album cycle was over, had you found your way into it?
By the time the whole thing was done, yes. But, essentially, as we'll get through what we're talking about, I was DJing in indie clubs. Yeah. And people were asking me for these songs. And the first couple of singles, they're not indie dance floor songs, essentially. But as you got through it and as the album came out and there were other options, I kind of had to go, oh, fuck it, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, fine, I was an idiot. I was just being deliberately obtuse.
Sure.
Yeah. This album as well, because Creep had been huge in the States as well, so they were trying to break America.
Yeah.
They toured at that point with people like Soul Asylum, REM, and Alanis Morissette, and big fucking US alternative acts. But they still didn't really crack America at this point, and this is still their lowest selling album in America.
Wow,
which is nuts, because this is such an American. I would have thought there was so much on here that someone in 1995 in the US would go, oh, well, it's college rock.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, if you're... I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong on it, but my perception of this is, you've got Pablo Honey, which is the kind of the interesting indie album that maybe isn't that interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit average.
It's the kind of the failed attempt at Radiohead, and then Radiohead become Radiohead on this record. Definitely. And this is almost like the most pure distilled form of Radiohead before they become disdainful of writing big pop songs.
Sure, as a guitar band, this is to me the pinnacle of the Radiohead guitars.
And then you get OK Computer, which is still very much a guitar song, but with a lot more kind of, dare I say, kind of proggy influences, or kind of just more left field influences. And then you start getting into Kid A, where they start introducing electronic elements.
Yeah, and Amnesiac, and then you're off on that. You got different types of Radiohead at that point.
Exactly.
But yeah, for this flavour of Radiohead, I think this is,
and you would think, this is the most digestible in a lot of senses.
I would have thought so. I mean, it's as we go through, I think we're probably going to go, this is fucking weird, and this is a strange decision. But on the whole, I would say it's one of the more digestible ones for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, shall we start where we always do with the album cover? So,
yes.
How do you feel about this?
It's fucking strange.
Yeah.
Okay, before someone said, "Oh, did you know that's what that is on the album cover?" Did you assume it was a bloke, maybe a paused moment in a video,
No,
It was
well.
an actual human person.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know what? I think I always thought it was a painting.
Oh,
actually.
I see. Okay.
It's got that kind of painterly look to it, and I've never really liked this album cover. The thing about the hues of the yellow and stuff. Obviously, if you don't know what this looks like, it's what it actually is it's a CPR dummy.
Yes, it is
photographed and with the head tilted back, and it kind of suggests that it's in the throes of ecstasy.
Indeed. The eyes are closed, the mouth is open, as you would expect from a CPR mannequin.
Yeah.
But it looks like it could be a person having a lovely time.
Blowing its load.
Yeah. But in terms of the actual image, it is deliberately kind of fucked with as well. The way they got it is that they got some footage of this thing on a camera, put that onto a TV screen, and then photographed the screen. So it's kind of 2 steps away from reality.
Sure.
Because it doesn't look crisp and clean. It looks a bit strange. It looks a bit almost like Max Headroom-y, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I tell you what it looks like. It looks like a cutaway scene from an Adam Curtis documentary.
Oh, right, yes, I can see that.
Yeah,
I definitely can see
things.
that,
Yeah. So, yeah.
But just for background, it's by an artist called Stanley Donwood, and this was the first thing he did with Radiohead, and he's done everything for them since.
Yeah.
Like, everything they have done since the Bends has been a Stanley Donwood piece of art.
Yeah, and the story behind it goes, they went into a hospital to take, because obviously this track, My Iron Lung, they went to photograph an iron lung.
Yeah, they're trying to find one of those, yeah.
But apparently they're not that interesting, so I got this dude.
Yeah. This as well, so this came out, like I say, March of 1995. It was nominated in 1996 at the Brits for the Best British Album.
Yeah.
That's the one where Jarvis Cocker went on stage and crashed the Michael Jackson set. It was up against Oasis, What's the Story, More and Glory, Blur, Great Escape, Pulp, Different Class, and Paul Weller, Stanley Road. Do you want to have a guess of which one won?
I'm going to give you Paul Weller, Stanley Road.
No, it was Oasis.
Oh, Oasis.
It was
okay,
Oasis.
fair enough.
Yeah.
See, I think the other thing that would have put me off this record at the time, of course, is the fact that I was well aware that the NME were going on about this band as if it was the second coming of fucking Christ as well. And nothing would have put me off a band more than that.
Right.
At that moment in time.
Yeah, of course. Although, weirdly, I found out that in November of 1995, Tom York, he got sick while he was on tour, and he collapsed on stage at a Munich show. The NME covered the incident, and their title was Tommy's Temper Tantrum, rather than, reporting that he was ill. And York said it was really hurtful. It was one of the most hurtful things anyone had written about him, the whole piece. And he refused to give interviews for 5 years to NME.
Amazing.
Yeah, so they were covering Radiohead. That goes through OK Computer as well. They were covering the band, reviewing them, saying they're amazing. And Tom York's like, "Fuck you, not talking to you anymore."
There you go.
Yeah, they shot themselves badly in the foot.
I've grown to deeply love Tom York over the years.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
I mean, he just does what he wants.
Yeah.
Because he can.
He sees things the way he sees them.
Through 1.5 good eyes.
Come on. Spoken, by the way, just to point out, I am a man with 1.5 good eye. Well, I'm a man with 3/4 of a good eye these days, but there you go. Right, okay, so yeah, the cover's not their best cover, I don't think.
No, I don't think it is. I think pretty much all of the other covers they've done since have been much, much better.
Yes, I think that's entirely true.
Much better.
Right, but the first track is famously Planet Telex.
Indeed it is. So, this was released as a single, kind of. It was part of a double A-side single, the one that came out just before the album, with High and Dry as a double A-side. It got to number 17.
Okay.
And
bearing in mind the last time we left Radiohead was Pablo Honey, which was, pretty much a meat and potatoes indie record in many ways, shape or form. Here already we've got lots of layers in this fucking heavily effect-laden guitar. There's a load of kind of delay coming on. We've got this kind of deep pounding bass that's going to start coming through.
Yeah. And this is a drum loop as well. Yeah. They're playing with that. That guitar in the background. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, we've got, someone who's fragile breaking voice here.
Yeah.
There is... It's the things you expect of Radiohead, but it's clear instantly they've found something different in the way that they're creating their sonics.
Sure.
They've locked something in, because this is, you hear this and it sounds like Radiohead. You hear stuff of Pablo Honey, it doesn't necessarily
Right, yeah. If you're used to what Radiohead became, yeah, if you go back to Pablo Honey, you're like, oh, well, I can kind of see, but it's not the same band, really. And I wonder how much of that is down to the production, because this is the first album where it's produced by John Leckie, who's famous to me for Stone Roses, for example. But he also did things like Magazine back in the day, and that's post-punk stuff. Interesting bands he's worked with, but it's also the first time they worked with Nigel Godrich. He was an engineer, and then on this, he did some production, and he then went on to produce everything else that they did.
Yes.
And so I can only assume that a lot of the sonics... That guitar.
Is so
oh
good,
my
man.
God.
So good.
Fuck me.
Just dives in.
So yeah, some of the sonic stuff is probably his input, or it's the band finding someone that they were comfortable working with and experimenting with. But whatever they're doing, it fucking works.
Yeah, because you can listen to this track and you can hear the melody and you can hear what's going on, but then there's just 3 or 4 different layers. Like, you know, there's just so many different textures and sounds in here that are taking what's a perfectly reasonable tune and elevating it into something fantastic.
That's the thing. Everything about this is great, but the way it's all put together and the final outcome is so much more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. And, you know, it's a reasonably straightforward song, but it's just been transformed into this kind of wide open, kind of epic in scale.
The big delay stuff, I think, is a part of that. Like, it's real, just... It widens everything out, the scope of everything. And, yeah, there's a bit... is it coming up? It's coming up. Where Tom York, he sings that everything is broken as the song breaks back down into its sort of basic components. And then there's this lovely final outro guitar. It's beautifully done. I think everything is broken. And then this shiny, just downbeat, melancholy guitar stuff going on. It's otherworldly.
Yeah, my note is here, it's like everything's broken, everyone's broken, but the song is not.
Right.
The song is, for anyone paying attention, and I most certainly was not, this is just the sound of a very, very, very big band arriving.
There you go. This is track 1 on your sophomore album. This is a brilliant statement.
It's like, you know, for me, this is you know, there are very, very few bands that make this kind of step up between records. For me, Tool, who are my favourite band, did it between Undertow and Anima.
Okay, sure.
And it's the same thing. If you know, I love Undertow. It's a perfectly solid record. But it's not, what it isn't is Anima.
No, the leap.
Yeah, and it is a leap. It's a leap in scale and ambition and technique and putting your weight behind some ideas that you believe in that other people might try and talk you out of.
Right, yeah.
And a kind of an arguably less commercial approach that ends up having a lot more commercial reach in the long run.
Well, indeed, you're standing by your decisions and you end up finding yourself completely justified. Yeah, because if you had just done Pablo Honey Part 2, you'd have been like, oh, okay, it's fine, and then never heard of it again. It's
those things. It's where your instinct often, when you're creating something, is to make it recognisable. To go, oh, you know, we're making this thing. Is it enough like this? Will people understand that it's?
Will the old fans like this?
But the real unique bands are the bands that can only ever be themselves.
Yeah,
because that's where the biggest risk is.
Of course,
because if you make something that is just something that you could make, and everyone goes, well, that's shit. You've exposed yourself. The emperor's naked. You're done forever.
Right, yeah.
But when you do something and you stand behind it, and everyone goes, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Wow.
That's when you've got a real shot of being one of the greats. You know.
Yeah. And this song, apparently, it was the newest of the lot of all the songs that they wrote for this. It was the only song that was written after they started recording. They had basics of most of everything else, but after they started, this one came to life. And so it does, to me, it shows probably the most of where they were going to go or what they wanted to try in terms of the next albums and next Radiohead, future Radiohead.
And you know, Planet Telex, you're like, okay, there are some songs on the bends that would fit on OK Computer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, it's the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they've started off.
It's great.
I think it's brave of them, because if this was the one that they had written most recently, they probably had more of an affinity, because they're like, oh yeah, no, this is cool. This is the most us, because it's the newest of the things. It's not something they've been playing for a couple of years live. This is what we are. But to put it as track one and go, this is what we are, you're going to hear some other stuff that you'll have heard us play at live shows coming up. Don't worry about that. But this is the statement. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
to me.
brilliant.
Indeed. There's going to be a lot of regrets as we go through this. This was, like I say, the second single, part of a double A side with High and Dry. And I will have heard High and Dry. Well, it was on the radio. I probably had the chance to buy this and go, all right, I'm going to need to play this in the indie clubs. And I heard High and Dry and went, well, that's not a dance floor, so I'm not. I don't know if I actually heard Planet Telex on the single release or not. No. But if I had, would I have gone, oh, there's that as well, is there? Maybe I would. Maybe I still would have gone, nah, fucking Radiohead. But god damn it. God damn it. I missed it. There's an opportunity that I could have had.
No, that is glorious,
Never
man.
mind.
So let's do track 2, which is the title track. This is The Bends.
The Bends, right, yes. And this was actually released as a single, but only in Ireland.
Okay.
But if you count that, it means that 7 out of the 12 tracks on here were single releases in some fashion.
Man.
Oh.
I mean, that could be Stone Temple Pilots, actually, to be fair.
On what?
That could almost be Stone Temple Pilots.
That's true, actually. Yep. There's Tom coming in. Yeah! I mean, when he lets go and, shouts into the void.
Yeah.
He's got a fucking voice on him.
He's got a set of pipes,
really
man.
good. Yeah.
So this is where they kind of flex a little bit of songwriting muscle.
Okay, yep.
Here. Because this is a kind of a more classic structure. This is your verse chorus structure throughout. And I mean, they're not afraid of a hooky melody in this track, are they?
No, they are certainly. They're going, oh, this is a great riff, let's work a song into it. Yeah.
So we're still kind of in that jangly kind of indie rock, that kind of
yeah, there is a bit of a chuggy. Yeah. But the fact that they've got 3 guitarists helps, because they can have a lot of different stuff. They can do the chuggy stuff, but they also have other things happening as well. Yeah.
And again, in the production, it's like, this song in of itself, it's just lent this kind of dangerous edge, I think, by some of the instrumental and production choices that they've made.
Okay, yeah. And the weird thing about this that I only found out about when I was trying to read up around these things, I had heard and I had agreed with the whole thing about, well, this is called The Bends, and it's written because of their experience after Creep, when they got really famous really quickly, and then everything else that happened. And this is them coming up again for air and dealing with fame. But the fact is, they wrote this before Creep.
Oh, okay.
Or at least at the same time. It was written before Creep was released. It was back in 1992. And there is a version of it, there's a session version, on the French single of Creep, when it was still called The Bends, B-E-N-Z.
Oh, that I did not know.
And so it kind of means that that's not what it's about. Maybe it's about fame, but it's not about the fame they achieved through Creep. And so that kind of threw me entirely.
Well, the thing is that, lyrically, I think Tom York often falls into that category of there's a lot of kind of interesting things to read and interpret depending on your mood. They're always kind of obtuse and not quite as straightforward as you would expect, and there's multiple meanings in things. So there's an awful lot of these songs I've got absolutely nut.
I'm sorry, this bit here fucking slays me.
Yeah, it's brilliant, man. That kind of the way he can knock that extra note up into there, man.
Yeah, exactly. He's going for it. There's a build on the drums, and then that guitar that is glorious. That's one of the purest joys of guitar music to me, is that goosebumps.
But you're like, yeah. I mean, as I say though, he's quite obtuse, right?
Sure.
There's some good, silly, absurd references in this. Talking about like an FBI, so the CIA and bits and pieces. Like
he is,
and I don't always know what he's talking about, but I always kind of have faith that he's talking about something.
Okay, sure.
You know
He's not just writing this'll rhyme.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the ones apparently where he says that he's annoyed where more people don't see his sense of humour in the lyrics. Mm-hmm. And maybe he's right. Maybe he is writing with a bit of a wink and a nod. But I'll be honest, Tom, you're going to have to make it a bit more obvious to me if you want me to go, oh, I think he's being funny in this one, because I don't think any of this is particularly laugh out loud funny.
But, you know, you're always obvious. And, you know, and I appreciate this is kind of the thing that annoys some people about him as well, because some people are thick. But you're dealing with a thinking man's band. It's like the anti-Oasis, isn't it? It's like, you know, sure. It's not about any old shit will do. What's the
cat hats out?
Yeah, it's not fags and a pint of vodka. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably sitting at home and self-harming, but it's...
true.
But it's... if you're of a certain kind of bent, you radiate towards lyrics like these. And
sure.
I certainly always have and done.
But on a song like this, even if you don't listen to the lyrics, which is my oeuvre, really, is the non-lyrics, every other bit of this song is fucking astounding.
Oh, mate.
So if he was talking gibberish, I would forgive him entirely, I think.
But my point is, I kind of don't really bother with Radiohead lyrics because they are such a small part of it. If you want to know what mood they're trying to convey and you can't feel what mood Radiohead are trying to convey, then there is something wrong with the way your brain processes sound.
Right, sure.
Do you know what I mean? Because they do all the talking with the melodies and the whole ambience of the tracks.
I think this is incredible, and I've seen this talked about as one of the more complex songs on this album because there's like 5 different parts that get all melded together, and I'd never thought of that, but I can see it. There's lots of different sections to it. It does make sense, you know, but each bit of it is great. There's not one bit of this song that I'm like, all right, I could have done with less of that and then go back into those squealing guitars or something. It all fits perfectly, and there is such a release in this song whenever it does build and just let itself fly that it takes me away and it fucking gives me joy every time. I honestly, I could listen to this song on repeat over and over and over and it would still get me every time.
It's a brilliant song.
This is wonderful. I think it's incredible. I think this is one of the best things they ever did. And to come out, we just said it, to come out of Pablo Honey and go, oh yeah, but this is what we can do as well. Like, fuck me. This was... And also to have written this song at the same time as Creep, but they deliberately kept it for a different album because it didn't fit on Pablo Honey. Well, there you go. Oh, yeah, we had this in the pocket? Wow. Fair play.
Fair play. Right, track 3. Obviously, this is the first of the big singles. The first single was High and Dry.
Well, it was the second single.
Second single?
Yeah, because... My Iron Lung was the first.
Right,
yeah, so this was the second single, but this is the big one. And this is the one that got all the radio play, obviously, because it's very pretty.
Yeah, I mean, you know, well, we're turning the melancholy up to 11 here, really, aren't we? And, you know, and it kind of almost doesn't need saying, but there is something deeply evocative that Radiohead do in this kind of space that they do better than nearly anyone else.
Yeah.
There's just this kind of existential sadness as translated into beauty.
But it is gorgeous, exactly.
Yeah, but it's gorgeous. It's, you know.
Yeah. And this is another one, apparently, that was around for ages. It was in a band before Tom York was in Radiohead. He sang it with them. So in the late 80s, he had this in some form. But then apparently in 93, they recorded a demo with their live engineer, which they then dismissed as being too Rod Stewart, which I would love to hear. But then that was rediscovered when they were doing this album, and it was remastered for inclusion.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen speaking a little bit negatively about this, but, you know, however you feel, I guess there's that thing that Radiohead do a lot where and I think this is why they resonate with so many people, where they're just doing this thing where it's like the world is bad, the world is shit.
Yeah.
But we know that, and so do you, don't you?
Oh, okay.
To the listener, it's like, you know this too, don't you? And it's like almost this inside thing, that this communication of like, we know this stuff is like this, but you know this and I know this.
Right.
So I guess it'll be all right.
So what, we're together in our...
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
And I feel like that's a big part of the whole Radiohead experience.
Okay, yeah, well, I like the thought behind that. Yeah, that we all have to deal with the same shit at some point, and we're all just getting it through as much as we can.
Because the thing is, it's as bleak as it gets. It's never like nihilistic, is it?
I mean, on this one, no, not particularly. I think sometimes it's pretty fucking bleak. I think there's a couple on here which are just, everything dies, everything is shit, and what are you going to do?
I don't know. I feel
sometimes no, but
I feel like there's always a glimmer of something.
Okay.
In all of it.
I see. Okay. This one is.
Do you remember that when we worked at HMV?
Yeah.
That girl. I can't remember what her name was, but she was thick as mince.
Okay.
I remember one day we were all listening to Radiohead, and she went, "I don't know what it is about this band, but they just make me feel sad." like she was the first person that thought.
Well, and everyone else went, "Oh my God, you're right."
Oh, we better turn this off.
Put the Teletubbies back on.
After hours, so yeah, no, it's all right. We'll put that Grease Mega Mix that you like back on.
Wow. Yeah, Tom York apparently though has said post this coming out, like a long time after, he thinks it's a bad song. He doesn't like this. He says he was pressured by EMI into including it, and especially pressured into releasing it as a single. He is not a fan.
I mean, it's not my favourite Radiohead song.
No.
But I think it's a very, very gorgeous song.
Oh, totally. It's not my favourite at all, and I think if we grouped it in with the other softer songs on this album even, it's towards the bottom of my list. I think they do this kind of thing very well, but I think they do it much better on other songs.
But this here...
That little guitar?
Yeah.
Sure, very nice. It's very nice. Perhaps it's because it was all over radio and TV at that point, and I was like, this is what Radiohead is it? God, I don't know.
Yeah. And again, you know, the thing that I want, you know, the Radiohead that I love the most is a little bit more obtuse than that.
Sure.
It's a very straight-ahead piece of songwriting.
That is. It's pretty as all shit, though.
But it is. It's a, you know, if I could in my entire life write a song as good as that, I would die happy.
I know, imagine. Yeah. Okay, but, well, should we go on to track number 4, which is another kind of softer song?
Yeah, and I think this is actually quite a good juxtaposition to have that conversation with, actually.
Indeed. So, yeah, Fake Plastic Trees is track 4 on the album.
And, like, how is... Let's just stop that for a minute and just go, like, that line, a pink plastic watering can, right? How is that such a devastating lyric?
Oh, really? Does it?
How is that? The lyric in itself, taken in isolation, is a nonsense lyric. His voice saying those words over that fucking... It's just like, why have you just stuck a knife in me?
Wow, really? It gets you that started.
Because this is... Green plastic green.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, this is a real just... Oh... God. Oof. What are you going through?
This is Radiohead at their kind of most, like, kind of cut and burn emotional devastation.
Right.
Just fucking take off from space and bomb it, you know?
Sure. And this was a fucking single. This was the third single. Released in May 95. Got to number 20.
It's about as direct as they get, isn't it, as well, in a lot of ways?
I mean, I wouldn't say this is direct.
Well, I mean, it is in terms of... obviously for that anti-consumerist message, like it's pretty decipherable.
Oh, very much is decipherable. True. It's not as kind of shrouded in mystery as some of the other stuff.
I just think this is as disarmingly cutting as anything that anyone's ever written.
Again, this is utterly beautiful. Yeah. It's haunting, and it makes me feel wistful and sad for whatever reasons they're going through. But it's fucking beautiful.
And this is the
Every
thing,
bit of it.
like lyrically, I say we've got that consumerist thing, but it doesn't matter what this song's about because he could say any words.
Oh, this could be a love song.
Oh,
it's sad.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It just hits you in that kind of desolate place.
Yeah.
It's quite. It's kind of. I guess the further I go through life and deal with real shit, I guess you need this in life sometimes to prepare you for it almost.
Oh.
You need to know how these feelings feel.
Right.
I often try and kind of go, why does this kind of stuff appeal to not just me but to human beings?
Oh, I mean, sad songs are my jam.
I mean, why,
I want to hear other people's misery.
Yeah, I love to have a good time and I love a good party song, man. But Jesus Christ, I need this stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's so in the same way as there are so many REM songs that do that for me. For example, there's so many low songs that do that for me. There's something that this fucking no. Yeah. Whenever we've had the first half. And fucking bam.
Mate, this is just
swelling up.
It's just like a laser scalpel into whichever the emotional centre in your brain is. It will just make you feel stuff.
It's exquisite to the way it does it.
This is as perfect a song as anyone has ever written. It's a list that it's a song that defies lists because it's just. You can't list songs like this because they just exist in a different tier.
Right. The line he's just did. I can't help the feeling I could blow through the ceiling if I just turn and run. Fucking wonderful. And the fact that he's doing this all in falsetto as well could come across as, oh well, that's a bit weird, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And there's a story that. They tried recording this in various ways, and it never worked for the band. They were never happy. And then at one point during the recording process, they were invited to go and see Jeff Buckley in London, and they saw that show, and Tom York realised you can do falsetto and not sound like a twat.
Yeah.
And he came back and he did it all. He said, right, this is it. He did a version on the acoustic guitar, straight ahead, and then they used that as the bass, and the rest of the band just did their parts and got overdubbed over that. But the very first stone in that building is Tom York doing it by himself on acoustic because he was like, oh, I get it. Now I see what I can do with this song. And it's fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
It's also apparent that Ed O'Brien said that when they originally tried to record it, it came out sounding like November Rain. He said it was all pompous and bombastic, just the worst, is his quote. I'd like to hear that version as well.
Me too, man. Imagine Guns N' Roses covering this.
Jesus. I mean, I almost can. I say Axl doing overwrought vocals on that.
I'd kind of like to hear it.
Wow.
I mean, obviously now I've said that. Please,
God, no.
Never ever let that happen.
No. There is a train of thought. There's a lot of critics who point to this. They say it's brilliant, obviously. Everyone thinks it's fantastic. But they would point to this and High and Dry as kickstarting Coldplay's career and Travis and that sort of thing. And so you're laying the blame for those songs at the feet of Radiohead.
That feels unfair.
It's one of those things. If you can see a through line, there's absolutely a through line.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you go. What you're saying? If High and Dry didn't exist, we wouldn't have Travis. Is that what you're saying? Probably not.
Without Nirvana, there's no Nickelback.
Well, yeah, true. And I don't want to live in that world.
No, me either.
No, and no Creed. What?
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, Fate Plastic is absolutely incredible. I mean, was that one? You must have heard that at the time because it was around the place. It was on the radio and stuff. Do you have any memories of it?
I would have dismissed it as whiny indie rubbish.
Yeah, I wouldn't have dismissed it as that. I would have dismissed it because it was Radiohead and it wasn't a song I could play in a club.
I'm not sure at that time in my life how much space I had for. Yeah, it'd have been like 1920, and I was fighting quite hard against some of those emotions.
Right. Okay.
And the stuff I was listening to was angrier
or dance.
Yeah.
getting into dance stuff.
And like kind of really kind of sad, slow songs wasn't something I really had a place for in my life at that time.
That's interesting.
I didn't like the introspection too much at that time.
Right.
Because, you got to face some truths, didn't you?
Fuck that shit.
Exactly.
Fucking leave that locked up. No, thank you.
No.
Right. Okay, well, that's track 4. So that's the first third of the album done.
Mm-hmm.
Track 5 then?
Yeah, no. This is obviously just if you're a regular listener, obviously no singles or albums for this because this is a bonus episode. So it means I don't have to excruciatingly get asked questions.
Quite.
Anyway.
Right. Okay. Well, here's Bones. Which is not a song about your man from Star Trek, as far as I know.
Or Angel from...
from Buffy, that's the yeah, sure enough.
See, this is an interesting one, because this, to me, I can hear all of the other things that this sounds like. It sounds like the Smiths and the Stone Roses.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can hear like
the Johnny Marr.
Johnny Marr. You can hear a bit of that kind of Rennie kind of bass.
Okay. Not Rennie.
Not Rennie, whatever his name is. What's his name? Manny.
Him.
And then, by the time he gets to the chorus, there's a bit of Suede in this.
I can hear a bit of that. Yeah, I get you there.
A bit of R.E.M. in through this as well.
Because there's a bit I'm going to point out to you that reminds me of something, but overall, there are bits that remind me of something very specific, and I can't think what it is. It might be the Suede thing, it might be that, but it's almost like Echo and the Bunnymen or Simple Minds or something, one of those things. But I think this bit, right? Listen to the guitar. Status Quo.
Yeah.
Pure
teenagers
quo,
share their living.
Oh yeah, my Chemical Romance.
Funnily, we were just talking about Tom's falsetto, which was incredibly successfully done in Factory.
Yes.
I do not enjoy it here.
Oh, I see when he goes up the register. Yeah.
For me, by some margin, this is the least successful track on this record.
Oh, of all of them?
Yeah, I don't. Of this whole album, I don't really like this one.
Oh, I see. Okay. I mean, this is the first one we've come to that hasn't been a single.
Yeah.
So you can infer from that, perhaps, that it's not as catchy or something like that. But I think it's good. I think it's very good. I think that chorus is brilliant. I think it's really nice. It's big and brash, and it's about fucking having sore bones, and I can relate to that being 50. It's, all that. I just hurt all the time. I'd say it's mid-tier for me. It's mid in the album, but it's not down towards the bottom.
No,
it's down there for you.
For me, there's this track and there's the rest of the album.
I see.
To the point that I'd remove this track if I...
Oh, because I have one that I would remove, but it's not this one.
Okay.
Right. Interesting. Oh, no, I think this is really nice. I do like this. I think it... Maybe just because I like Status Quo more than you. I think there is more to the chorus than there is the verses, even though I think they're fine. But I do think this is a good song.
For me, it sounds like a different band. It sounds like a much more ordinary band.
Sure. Well, all those things you were saying about Suede, or maybe when I say Status Quo, you could also say Oasis, because that's what Oasis were doing. It sounds more like that scene, perhaps, than a lot of the other songs. But maybe I have more tolerance for that sort of the scene.
Shit.
Yeah, there's that scene in general. Perhaps it's that as well. Okay, that's track 5. We are split decision on that, which I think is fair. We've been pretty much in sync the rest of the time. Should we do number 6 then?
Yeah, this one is in brackets, Nice Dream.
Parentheses. And apparently...
And this sounds just like the start of Oceanside by Jane's Section.
Oh, okay.
So for that Jane's Section here, we'll go 3, 4,
I read that this was considered to be the first single, which is insane to me.
I mean, it's a pretty little kind of dream pop melody, isn't it?
It is. All right, okay, look. This little line here, this guitar line and him singing. I'm just going to, because you said Jane's Addiction, and if I'd had it ready, I would have queued it up. But there's a song by Soulwax called Flying Without Wings, came out in 1999 or 2000. And it was only listening back to Nice Dream that I went, hold on a fucking second. Because when he starts singing...
Yeah.
That's the same song.
Oh, yeah, that's very close, isn't it?
That's basically
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same. So whenever I listened to it, I was like, hold on, Jesus, I had never thought of that before.
Hold on.
Oh, wait a minute. So yeah, but yeah, back into Nice Dream. So, okay, possibly not.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, the note I've got on this song is there's a certain type of Radiohead fan, and that wishes they still made this album. I think.
Oh, count me in.
A large tracker.
Yeah,
and I think this is almost emblematic of the type of song that type of fan wishes they still wrote more of.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And whereas I'm not one of them. I don't dislike this song. Mid-tier, but it's just not as strong as an awful lot of the rest of them, because I prefer them when they've got a bit of a weirder or wilder edge to them.
Sure.
And
yes,
this is a very, very pleasant, albeit somewhat straightforward track, although about 2/3 of the way it does start getting a bit nuts.
That's the thing. You know, this bit of it is, like you say, it's very pleasant. It's nice. It's a little bit swirly and, you know, up in the clouds. And he's saying the song is about, wouldn't it be nice if people liked me and I was happy? Wouldn't that be a nice dream? So it's, you know, wishing himself to that place. But it does turn, and that's the thing I think I find very satisfying about this song. I had forgotten about this song, if I'm honest. It's at the end of side 1. I don't know if that's part of why I hadn't heard it as much, but it kind of slipped out of my mind. Whenever I came back to it, I was like, oh, sure, I remember this. Not in any particularly great way. I was like, it wasn't one of my favourites or anything, but going back to it, I think it's about to go into the more guitar-y side of things, and I think it fucking rockets off when it does that. Like, yes, so it and I love the comparison. It's, you know, and then he looks around and goes, I'll tell you what, Johnny, could you fuck this up a little bit for me? Johnny's like, yeah, I can.
Yeah, I like that little change.
It's gorgeous, that guitar. So yeah, exactly. It's building, and that's coming in, and then can you add some more chaos, please?
That just sounds to me like the guitar solo in "Get By with a Little Help from My Friends."
Oh no, the Joe Cocker version, yeah. I mean, that's brilliant too. Yeah, fair. But sure, and then it goes back to this, which is like, let's sit on a beach and watch a sunset. Yeah, you know, and you can almost forget that shit just happened. There was a storm in the middle of this song, but because it did happen, I do enjoy it. Again, I'm going to put this in, let's say, the bottom third of my tracks.
I'm good, not great. It's definitely in my bottom third.
Okay,
it's fine. The main bulk of it doesn't do enough for me.
Sure. Okay, no, I see that.
Yeah,
but I also think if you didn't have that main bulk, the crashing in wouldn't have the impact it does for me anyway.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just, I could probably survive that.
I think we can both agree. There's no way it could have been single number 1.
Well, absolutely.
What the
not.
fuck was anyone thinking?
What a mistake that would have been. All right, so next track.
Okay, so we're now flipping this the record over. We're on to track 1 on side number 2, and this was a turning point for me.
Okay, yeah. Now, this is just.
Yeah.
Or as I refer to it as the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy one.
Oh, okay. And that's an Eagles song as well, yeah. But yeah, this is single number 4.
Yeah.
It came out in September 95, so it's like 6 months after the album. Got to number 19.
The good with this song, man, is this is a brilliantly written song. I'm well aware of it.
Sure.
I get it. I really like it. I've probably heard this song too much.
Of course you have. Because it was the one that got played every time.
Yeah. And it's, undoubtedly a banger. Unimpeachable chorus.
Oh,
right?
incredibly.
But huge sing-along moments.
Brilliant guitar solos.
Yeah, it's great.
Even the bass line in this is so cool.
And I think part of the way that, because of the order that I got into Radiohead,
Mm-hmm.
and the people will scream at their podcast.
Oh, right.
For this content.
Right, I'm ready.
But there are some kind of tonal comparisons you can make with Paranoid Android to this song. There are some places where it sounds quite similar. Some of the riff choices are similar.
Sure.
And I've always compared this song with Paranoid Android to a degree.
Oh,
and
right.
That's not a battle it can win.
No, so it's the poorer cousin of...
So for me, this is the creep of this album. I think it's really good. I understand why people love it. I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not slagging it off, but I've heard it too much and it limits my enjoyment of it.
Fine, but that's the thing. It's the personal thing.
Yeah.
You can say this is a perfectly put together song. There's not a bad thing going on here. That's a gorgeous guitar sound. Yeah. The shuffling drums, wonderful. Everything is brilliant, but you don't need to hear it.
Yeah.
For me, my note is this is their Smells Like Teen Spirit to me. I cannot fault Smells Like Teen Spirit. Never. It's fucking stunning. But yeah, I heard this too often.
Yeah.
And fair enough. I would never put this on a playlist. I would never go, what Radiohead song do I want to hear? Oh, I want to hear Just. But if it comes on Six Music or something, each time I'll go, oh, this is absolutely exceptional.
Do you reckon they still play this live?
I wonder. I do not know.
I'm going to look.
Part of me would say, I bet you they don't, because they're contrary shits. And this is the sort of Radiohead that they are distancing themselves from. So I would be very surprised if they do. Because they have. This is the sort of thing they wanted to move away from. The very riff-heavy guitar song.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, and I say, do they still play this live? They haven't played live since 2018.
Yeah, true.
Fucking hell, 7 years haven't played live.
How can it be 7 years? But this was the first song that they completed during the recording of the album as well. And so they moved on immediately from that as well. This outro as well, where it just fucking builds, rah, 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 rah. And this is before we even talk about the video. Because I remember whenever that video came out, and so this is 95, I had no access to MTV or anything like that at this point. I was just seeing stuff on Top of the Pops or the Chart Show as and when I could. But I remember seeing the video for Just and going, this is astounding. I want to see that again.
Yeah.
So it was a proper game changer video for them, I think, as well.
I mean, they've certainly got some. We haven't really mentioned the videos, and we
No, well, there's a couple more to come. But yeah, even the Fake Plastic Trees one was the one in the supermarket, isn't it? About where he's in the trolley.
Yeah,
it's really well done. It was a great video for them as well. And going back and watching the video for that and watching the video for Just, it reminds me just how bad hairstyles Tom York had at various points in the 90s. Fucking shocking.
Oh man, yeah,
absolutely shocking.
He's always been a somewhat sartorially challenged man.
Indeed, yeah, it's never really bothered him that he needs to look like a rock star.
Dude's lucky he sounds the way he does.
Yeah, yeah. God, at least he's talented.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is one of the songs that I can definitely see where other indie bands took inspiration from. If you think, Muse being the obvious one. The Muse's first album is essentially Radiohead around this time. And it's a song like Just that surely made Matt Bellamy go, oh, God, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
It is unfair to blame Muse on anyone, though, isn't it?
But I can also hear, because that's, going forward, I can hear grunge hangover in this song. I can hear loads of Smashing Pumpkins in some of the guitar choices, the guitar sounds.
But the thing is, if you're in any way tuned in as how can you not have some kind of grunge hangover still at this point?
Especially if they were writing songs in 92, 93 that would end up on this album.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, you're surrounded by it. You're absolutely surrounded by it. And yeah, so this one is self-loathing, lots of anger, blistering guitars. I think this is fucking astounding, but yeah, sure. If I had to choose 10 songs off this album to hear for the rest of my life, this might not be one of them.
I'm going through at the minute. Setlist. You can get the stats on setlist.com of what songs they've played.
Yeah.
They've played it 406 times. The last time, though, I can see them playing it is 2009 Reading Festival.
Right. Oh, I think that's where I saw it. I've only seen Radiohead once, and I think it was at that Reading Festival.
I think that I was at that one as well.
Yeah, with all the red and white lights behind them.
Yeah, I was very drunk. I came just for the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was very drunk.
I mean, I don't know if you can see on that set list. I think that was a set where they played Creep whenever nobody was expecting.
Yeah, they opened with it.
Right. Fucking what?
Yeah.
Everyone was going, well, obviously they're not going to play Creep.
Yeah, Creep, international anthem.
Bam. Oh, damn.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
There's a fucking whiplash.
Yeah. Finished with everything in the right place. They did that intro of Maps.
Oh, yeah. God. That was a show.
You
The video was nominated for Video of the Year at the 96 Brits, which you can absolutely see. It was up against Blur Country House, Oasis Wonderwall, Pulp Common People, and Take That Back for Good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think won?
Is it going to be Wonderwall?
Yep.
Cunt.
It's Oasis again. It was just...
Oasis?
There was no point in anyone else turning up to that.
No way,
night.
Chris. That's what I should have said.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
No
I wouldn't
way,
have
Chris.
enjoyed it, but I'm glad you didn't. Yep, okay. I think it's fucking brilliant, but I understand that it's like too much.
I do as well. It's, anyway.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on from just... Track number 8 is My Iron Lung. And this was the one that was kind of the first single. It came out in September of 94, and it was bundled into an EP as well, a My Iron Lung EP, because it was across 2 different singles with loads of weird B-sides. They put it all into one as well.
I think this is one of the clearest signs of what they were going to go on and do next, along with Planet Telex.
Sure.
Because you hear you got this syncopation, like the grumbling bass, and the way the guitar follows change pace. But then it will kind of it's the song's written to lock you into this groove and then just kind of outfox you. And it's that kind of subversion that they started doing here that they kind of carried on.
Right. Okay.
I think this is another just absolute masterclass in songwriting.
I think this is unbelievable. This song. This is probably my favourite so far off this album. This song is fucking incredible.
It's it's a wonderful, wonderful. It's one of those weird things where it's deliberately obtuse in many, many ways, while still constantly remaining accessible.
Oh, well, see, I think this is... Whenever I looked at it properly, because I never had before, why would I? Don't give a shit. But whenever I looked at the lyrics on this, it's very obviously a reaction to Creep. It's the record company had gone, oh, right, Creep was a massive hit, write me another Creep.
Yeah.
Radiohead went, fucking dickheads, and wrote this specifically.
Yeah.
My Iron Lung, the analogy being that Creep is my iron lung because it traps them, it keeps them alive, but it restricts them entirely.
Absolutely.
And there's lines in here. This is our new song, just like the last one. A total waste of time. My iron lung.
Yeah, and there's a little breakdown in there. That sounds
yeah, absolutely. It's ripping himself off.
And I think when I said obtuse, I guess I didn't. I was talking musically rather than
fair enough.
Rather than lyrically.
Oh right, yeah.
And that's a good one. I didn't really do a cool comment on the lyrics this when I made my notes here, which I should have done.
But yeah, the lyrics are dripping with venom against Creep and the record company. Yeah, the music is exploring and it's showing this is what we can do.
But it's like when it drops into its final act.
My god. My god.
The drop in it is and it's as heavy as heavy as anything.
Yeah.
There were death metal bands, black metal bands that fucking wish they could do anything that is as devastatingly heavy as what this does.
Yeah. It slays you. And this song as well, whenever they were trying to record it for the album, they couldn't get it to the point they wanted it. They liked the music. So this is a live recording from a show at the Astoria in 1994, in May 1994. Tom York re-recorded the vocals for it. But all of this is them live on stage at the Astoria. And it doesn't sound like... It sounds like a perfect studio take. You know, these guitars stabbing in and out. It's wonderful. And this is what they were just like fucking running around the place.
Hey, man. You can be frightened.
But again, this is another Tom York just letting fly on the vocals.
Nothing better to thrash around the dance floor to.
So good. This is flawless. Every bit of this is flawless. And like I say, you can watch the whole gig is live. So the whole gig is on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing. And they are just like battering their amps and fucking about with the guitars. And it sounds inch perfect for this song.
Yeah.
Every single bit of it. This is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. Also, at that gig, and it's May 94, they are about to go and start recording the album, but it is post the main touring that they've had to do on Pablo Honey, but it's at the end of it. It's a big Astoria gig. But they're already playing just Bones, The Bends, Fake Plastic Trees, Black Star and Street Spirit off this album, which wouldn't come out for nearly another year, but they've got those all done, and they all sound like they sound. It's not like they were trying it out. This band was ready to go. You know, as soon as the Pablo Honey cycle was done, they were like, right, fuck that shit. We've got an entire body of work that we want to show to the world. It's stunning. I don't know where did they find the time to write those songs when you're touring America with Soul Asylum?
Yeah.
God damn.
I mean, to be fair, probably when Soul Asylum were on.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. What else are you going to do?
Exactly.
I bet your Gals from True Cult Pop loves a bit of Soul Asylum.
I bet he fucking does.
All right. Okay, but yeah, so far, My Iron Lung is my favourite on this album.
And
absolutely stupidly good.
And mine.
Good stuff. All right. So that's now 2/3 of the way. That was track number 8. So track number 9?
Bulletproof. I wish I was, in brackets. ...
I wish I was. I don't mean, should it be I wish I were? I don't know if I'm going to have to write to Tom York.
Well, maybe.
Okay, so this is another one that when I was looking at the track listing, I was like, I can't remember this one. How does this go? It slipped past me entirely. And even whenever I first did my listens for this, I was like, I don't remember. And then I was like, oh yeah, when it gets into when Tom starts singing, it's like, oh yeah, it's this one.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously this is like a slow... Using the word sad when describing Radiohead songs, it's just such a redundancy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'll plod through emotional fragility, okay?
Okay.
And it's basically Tom lamenting the thing that actually allows him to do any of this stuff. That overabundance of empathy.
Okay.
And kind of lamenting, wishing I was bulletproof, wishing I could stand up more emotionally.
Sure, yeah, that I didn't feel everything so much.
Yes.
And everything didn't hurt in the same way. You see, this is the one I would leave off the album. This does nothing for me, really. I could live without this.
I put here, this is a slight entry, but one that earns its place just because this vocal on here is really beautiful.
Oh, I cannot fault that. You're absolutely right.
And I think it's, as I say, a slight entry, but to not have this vocal on this record would be a crime, I think.
Do you? All right, you see, I wouldn't miss this, I don't think. It doesn't do much for me at all. And when it comes to 90s indie songs called Bulletproof, it's Pop in itself have won that race, so I think we're going to have to lose this one up.
Oh yeah, we should just put PWEI on.
Yeah, actually, yeah, put that on here. Much better album.
Yeah.
That'd be glaring.
Quick change of pace. Fancy a bath.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Throw in some rose petals. If you haven't got rose petals, some chopped onions will do.
Yeah. No, I think this is nice and tinkly and all those things,
I find the whole question of it, the concept of it, interesting as well. I think.
I see. Right. Sure. No, I get that, but I don't see it as anything hugely different that isn't on other songs. I get enough of those.
I don't know what you're saying. I know what you're saying as well. But anyway, right, we don't need to dwell any further on this because this is going to do what it does.
What it does.
Let's check out the next track, which is Black Star.
All right.
And you already mentioned it once.
Yes, indeed.
And here's the rarest of rares.
Oh, mate.
A fade in.
Fade in. I mean, I was trying to think of other big fade in songs.
I should have called this one Street Spirit. Fade in.
Fade in. Oh, damn it! What a missed opportunity. Stone Roses, I Want to Be Adored, fades in.
Yeah.
Portishead, Glory Box, fades in.
Bang on, man. This. Look, if you want to know everything about this song, it's all just contained in that fucking first lyric, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
I get home from work and you're standing there in your dressing gown, right?
Yeah. And what am I to do?
Like, it tells you, like, how much story you can tell with an economy of words, because that tells you everything. If you've ever been overcome by depression, or if you've supported someone that has, right, specifically,
which is what this song very much is.
And that line, it just immediately it brings you into that space where you have all those feelings where you're like, okay, fuck, I'm here, this is happening. I fucking wish this wasn't happening. Okay, there's probably very little I can do about this,
right? But
I'm going to have to try, and all of that in 2 lines.
Oh, it's
all of it.
Yeah, perfect.
And this song just distills it. It's literally. It's enough to make this one of my favourite songs on the album.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
because it just punched me in the face. I'm like,
right,
bang. And I'm sorry, I cut you off when you were talking about songs that fade
in.
In.
No, please keep going on this.
But fuck me, man, what a song this is, man. Like, it's not as showy as some of the others. It's not got some of the other bits. It's not got
not big solos.
You can't talk about the songwriting, but you can talk about an efficiency, and you can talk about. We talk about a song as an emotional delivery device.
Yeah.
This song's just a punch in the face, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, that line, the very first line, and then I know all the things are on your head and what they do to you. The knowing how shit something is for someone else, knowing they're going through some horrible nonsense, and what do you do? What can you do? What do you try and do? It's brutal, this song. Absolutely brutal. There's the longing, and there's the huge love you have for the partner that he's talking about, but there's the frustration of, oh well, there's only so much I can do, and some of this I can't help you with. You need to help yourself, but I know you can't. It's the tug of war.
It's, what the fuck what do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do? Is this me? Is this me forever? Is this us?
Sure.
What do we do? How do we solve this? How do you help you?
Yeah. And as you go through the song, the third verse is him having broken up with that person.
Yeah.
And going, he's saying, it's obviously he's broken up because he knew they would never be happy. He couldn't make this person happy. But the lines are like, it hurts when I think of you, and if I see a face that looks like yours, I have to go and lie down and cry, sort of shit. So even though he's tried to do something positive and make it better for both of them, it's fucking horrible. It's just horrible. And then the very last bit, are we near that bit? Just the last outro lines, where he just goes, "This is killing me. This is killing me. Cruel. This is killing me." God damn. For a band which is depressing and sad, this is there you go. This is killing me. This is a peak of depression and sad.
Yeah, this song gets me, man.
Sure.
It gets me like
Which
right here,
nice.
right here.
But I'm going to rewind a bit of the guitar at the end of that, because that guitar sounds like More Than a Feeling by Boston.
It really does.
It really fucking does.
It really does.
And that song also has a fade in.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. It's like
More Than a Fade In.
But yeah, I think my favourite of the fade in songs that I was able to get is Never Ending Story by Lamal. It's a wonderful fade in.
Yes, indeed.
Fucking stunning. Absolutely brilliant. No, that song I think is wonderful. It doesn't hit me presumably in the same way that it hits you emotionally, but I do think it's great. And I love the feelings that it does give me, but I've never really had to deal with them in any big way. I've not been in that position, and so it sounds fucking bleak.
Yeah.
Black Star, indeed.
Great song, though, man. Great
Brilliant.
song.
It is. It's wonderful.
Where do we put it in the of the three Black Stars I can immediately think of? Like the last David Bowie album, the Talib Kweli Mos Def project, and that one.
I think this is definitely my favourite.
I don't know if it is.
Are you going to go
love
Bowie?
That. Oh, I love the Bowie one as well.
Oh, you going?
I think I might have to do a three-way tie because I fucking love that Black Star album.
You're going to do a three-way?
Yeah.
Fine. You do a three-way, mate.
Lord of mercy, all nice and sweet and cruel. Come follow me now, Zed. I roll when we're moving hip-hop.
Oh, well.
Right, okay, let's do the next track then, man.
Indeed.
Let's do Salt.
Yeah, we're nearly there. This is track 11 of 12.
And this one, I mean, I only know this because I read about it. I didn't pick it up from the lyrics, but this is about Michael Ryan, The Hunger for Kill.
Yeah, which is not something you'd expect a song to be written about, the Hungerford Massacre. And again, I had kind of forgotten this. I didn't recognise, whenever I saw the song title, I couldn't place it. But as soon as that came in, I was like, oh, this song, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't remember this song. I'm not even sure I've heard this song, but...
Oh, I think it's brilliant.
I mean, this is a massively underrated track.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I
know, they stuck this at track 11.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I've used the words mesmerisingly powerful here.
Sure,
because I'm a pretentious arsehole.
Nice one.
Sometimes you sulk, sometimes you burn, man. What?
And the whole feel of that the kind of this swaying bit, it reminds me of Try Not to Breathe of Automatic for the People, REM. And apparently this was, you know, a lot of stuff going on was inspired by REM, and I know that they toured with them, obviously, in the States. The Automatic album would have been the one that was happening at that point, so I can see parallels. But yeah, it sounds like that to me, which I think is another emotionally filled song.
Oh, for sure.
And this is another just gorgeous, deep, a well of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we should say at this point, we have got a full episode on that album.
Oh, true. The Automatic for People album.
Go back and listen to that if you want to hear us talk about that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've got not much more to say about this, but this is just another. It's
terrific.
It's a fantastic song.
Yeah, I think and again, you said before that there are a lot of songs on here that sound down, but there's a glimmer of hope, and I think this is absolutely one of them because it's sad, but there's almost bits which are elegiac and reaching for the positive, the pulling yourself out of the darkness. I think there's that aspect on here that comes across, that it's not just everything is shit and it will be shit forever. I'm trying and I can see something perhaps. So there's that. I love that about it. There's also a guitar solo on this track, which is coming up shortly, I think, which is another sort of searing guitar and almost comes out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it.
That's almost like a Andrew Lloyd Webber riff, isn't it?
Oh, right, yeah, Phantom.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is. It's like you can. It's this where you can kind of go. This is the kind of stuff that informs, like Johnny Greenwood's soundtrack work.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
There's kind of sense of the dramatic and the drama and
yeah. This is great. It's great. I was very pleased to revisit this because I had forgotten about it, and so it was an absolute treat to kind of rediscover it at the end of this album, which I kind of thought I know all the songs in this album off by heart, and I'd forgotten about this. So yeah, love it. Totally one that I suspect if you asked 100 Radiohead fans or even fans of this album what your top 3 songs on there, this might not even be on it, but it's good enough to be a fucking stunning song on a stunning album.
Yeah.
Great.
It's interesting. It hardly ever played live.
Is that right? Well,
they played it live a bit around 2004, 2005 apparently, and then never
I'd
did.
love to see that live.
Yeah.
I can see that being brilliant.
It's
well.
1994, 1995. And
94, 95. Oh, right. So not even whenever they were revisiting.
Yeah, I don't think they've. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, that's a shame. Tom, if you're listening, next time you play, stick Sulk in the set list.
Yeah, stick it in, mate. Stick it in. Stick it in, mate.
Lovely. Well, we are at the end of this album. We're on the last track.
Yes,
track number
we are.
12.
Yes, indeed. And this one is Street Spirit.
It is.
Fade Out.
Fade Out, yeah.
And if you want to know a thing or two about just iconic guitar riffs, here's one for
Isn't
you.
it? Yeah. It's so recognisable instantly.
Yeah.
And this was fifth single in February of 96, so almost a year after the album. It got to number 5, so it was the highest charting of all the singles. And because this came out in February 96, that's when the album peaked. It got to number 4 at that point. It only got to number 6 on release. The album got to number 4. And so this was kind of the highest Radiohead were, it seems, at this point.
And this is just that distilled grief, isn't it? It's that distilled
God, yeah.
ennui, fucking just pain.
Oh, this is the everything dies.
Everything is fucked. Everything is pointless.
Yeah.
But, and again, that's where you talk about this thing. But love will make you feel better.
Okay, right.
Devastating.
It is.
But perfect.
Oh, yeah. No, I love that. I'm trying to think of the lyrics. I can't remember a bit where there was the glimmer of hope in this one. This was death and destruction to me.
Now, if you read the lyrics, hang on, Street Spirit lyrics.
Because it's so harsh. There's lyric: cracked eggs, dead birds, scream as they fight for life. I can feel death, see its beady eyes. All these things into position. It's like Jesus, give me a break.
Yeah, but
calm down.
Yeah, but it's all these things into position. All these things will one day swallow whole, fade out again. Immerse your soul in love. Immerse your soul in love.
Right, yeah, okay.
And that's the balm. That's the balm.
Right.
It's like,
what else can you do?
It's like these things will all happen. This is inevitable. Therefore, it's like the famous Tom York quote, which is, at the end of the day, you might as well just try and communicate with other people because there's bugger all else to do.
Oh, see, right.
That I'm paraphrasing that, but that was a famous quote. It was used.
Was it?
It was used as as a soundbite on MTV or something along those lines. But it's always like it was always the thing that even before I liked Radiohead, I heard that and I went, I like that.
Oh, right. I mean,
like that.
We're talking over the song where he goes, "This machine cannot communicate."
Yeah. This is a song to put on if you really want to do yourself a bit of emotional damage.
Christ, yeah.
If you want a good wallow, this is a proper wallowing song. But fuck me, it's so good.
It's so pretty.
It's again unimpeachable. It's and the fact that Tom York can not only translate those internalized into this kind of thing that everyone can listen to and everyone can feel, but that he found a group of people that could help him to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, we have talked a lot about Tom York. We've mentioned Johnny Greenwood and Ed O'Brien, but I think a lot of credit has to go to the rest of the band.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Tom's doing your lyrics, of course he is, but for the songs to sound like they do has taken all of those people. Yeah.
And again, this is a perfect end to this
Indeed.
record.
I mean, it's the most downer one that you could have, almost. But as track 12, I see what they've done. Apparently this again was inspired by REM. And you can see, for example, the last track on Automatic isn't it Find the River, isn't it? Which is a bit of a downer. There's a hope there, but it's a fucking downer. I can see why you'd put this at the end, because if you put it in the middle, you've got to bring yourself back up somehow. It's a wonderful closer. And, the very, very last notes is it just doom, 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 doom. There's the end of the album.
Yeah.
Perfect. Fucking perfect. And again, that's before we've even mentioned the video for this.
Yeah.
The video for this is wonderful. Jonathan Glazer directed.
It's the black and white.
Black and white one, where there's some slow motion, some speeding up, lots of interesting arty imagery. It'd been ages since I watched it, and I going back. And I was like, I had it in my head, going, this is a cool video. I remember this. It's pretty cool. And I watched it again. And I was like, oh, no, this is much better than I remember.
Yeah.
It's been years since I checked it out. And it fits so well with the song. It's kind of perfect for the mood. It adds to it. So the song is brilliant, but the video makes it even more than it was, which is what you want from a video.
Yeah.
But yeah, an incredible closer for the album.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I mean, actually, I will just say this, because I've got a quote here, that obviously a lot of fans think this is one of the best, but Tom York as well, or the rest of the band, also think this is one of the best things they've done. There's a quote from Tom York that says that the band felt it was a breakthrough in their songwriting. He said, "If I ever forget why I started this as a career, then Street Spirit is why I started. We spent a day going round in circles until I was thinking this is never going to happen. Then suddenly something happened, and I was transported to a place that I'd been willing myself to be in for months on end with this song. This was everything he'd been trying to do, and then they achieved it finally, and that has got to be so rewarding.
Absolutely. And and I've seen him say as well that, like, they always have to play this towards the end of a set or at the end of the set because it's just so draining to play. Yeah. And it's, that he connects to it and feels it every time.
I bet.
And fuck me, that must be a burden.
Sure. But, you wrote the fucker, so deal with it, bitch.
Okay. So...
okay, well, that's the album. Before we do our kind of final thoughts, I guess, let's do some of listeners' feedback.
Cool. Okay, well, over on X, the fucking fascist site, anyway, we've got a True Cop Pop got in contact, top 5 albums. I think this is Stephen, right?
It's got to be Stephen.
Top 5 albums of all time for me. Liked Creep a lot, and know they went on to make more challenging records, but this remains my favourite. It's got the lot, hasn't it? The big alt-rock rages, the moments of quiet introspection, some weird shit, but it's never less than perfect. I mean, it's a fair cop.
I cannot disagree with any of that. On Facebook, I got some quotes here. DJ Mike Latrell, just fabulous. Fake Plastic Trees, what a record. Kate Etteridge as well. Kate says it's the perfect soundtrack to weepy teenage angst.
Yeah,
so
fair enough,
again,
man.
fair.
Ron Logan, teenage me had dismissed them as a little version of Nirvana, which we addressed at the start, I guess. Had no expectation at all. Their second album being one of the best albums ever made. Johnny's sustained high-pitched scream at the end of the solo for Justice, one of the best sounds ever made on the guitar.
Mate, it is. It's just perfect. Every bit of it's perfect. Got Chris Emerson. Hello, Chris. Says, I remember a friend telling me they couldn't listen to Fake Plastic Trees. It was too beautiful and sad. And he says, because of that, they gave away their CD.
Oh, no. Fair enough, man. Zap to the Past. Was not a fan of Pablo Honey, but very, very quickly, The Bends became one of my favourite albums of all time. Shame they were never this good again. Ooh.
That's Adrian. Our mate Adrian... on Zap to the Past.
And I can see completely that would be Adrian's
Indeed,
perspective.
sure. But I think this is their best album. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say I don't think they were ever this good again, but this is my favourite album of theirs. I think it's the best thing they did.
I mean, we'll talk about this in a minute.
Well, sure. We're going to have to talk about it when we do our 97 year, because OK Computer got to number 1.
Absolutely.
Neil Meadowcroft, not long finished listening to another podcast about this album, you scab. It reminded me how amazing it is. No particular memories other than buying the guitar tab sheet for Street Spirit when it came out as a single. Never mastered it. OK Computer was good, but this was their one truly great record for me. They seemed to forget about melodies after this.
Steve Southern, through sheer strength of the tunes, this has steadily crept past OK Computer for me over the years. Ooh. I only wish they weren't so terrified of writing melodies you can sing along to or even remember nowadays. Genuinely exciting and inventive guitar freakouts too. That is a perspective you can have.
I love it. There's so many people saying this similar thing. Oh, interesting. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Stephen McDade said this: Quicksand's Slip and the Afghan Wig's Gentlemen are standout soundtracks to my second year of university. The Bends was so fresh and a necessary buffer to all the Britpop malarkey we were bombarded with back then. Nowadays, my teenage daughter is a Radiohead obsessive, and I bought her a copy just last week from our local indie record store.
Amazing.
There you go.
Good work,
Passing
mate.
It on, man.
Good work, sir, and also, obviously, a massive shout-out to Quicksand.
Quicksand, I thought you'd like that one.
And Joe Sullivan, so our last comment over on X, deserves all the superlatives and more. I don't think I'll ever not get the chills at the opening of Street Spirit.
Nice.
If that ever happens, you are probably dead.
Yeah, something's gone badly wrong.
Cool.
Walker Tate, our American listener,
hey,
and
Walker.
I say that as probably the only American listener. Hey, Walker. I really like the title track, but Radiohead always bordered on being a touch whiny for me. Perhaps I'll get a different perspective from listening to you all enjoy it. I mean, I hope you did, Walker. I hope you enjoyed us, A, us chatting about it, and B, the actual music. But obviously, us chatting about it is much more important than Radiohead.
Paul Phelan, I've got here. I only really discovered them with OK Computer, me too. I'd heard Creep, didn't think it was anything special, so missed this at the time. Re-listened for the unknownth time. I think this is pretty much perfect. Wouldn't change a thing about it. I still prefer OK as a whole, but yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
Sure, mate. It's one of those ones, I don't know how it cannot be 10 out of 10. I went back through my music press. I picked out the NME and Melody Maker issues that reviewed the bands, and both of them have, well, only one of them gives an actual score, but one of them is a 9 out of 10, and the other one is saying this is the best kind of indie guitar rock album of the year. They were both frothing about this. Yeah, fair play. Richard Wright has said, very nice, but watch out, you don't want to get too behind on your main show. I know you just can't wait to get to the Radleys. Yeah, David, Boo Radley's is next.
Well, I'm on holiday. Mark Scott, apparently it's a CPR dummy on the cover, but when it came out, I thought it was a photo of someone getting bummed. Could be both, I guess.
Thank you, Mark, for bringing the tone
reminding us who we are.
Exactly, yeah. I've got an email from my mate Niall Bakewell from the Zeros podcast.
Yeah.
He says, the Bends was a warm, bright candle helping us to get through the dark, cold, musty tunnel of Britpop, but also... fuck those sunshine-busting posh cunts. Send them to The Hague. And that pretty much sums up Niall.
Yeah.
There's love and there's hate.
Fair fucks, man. Fair fucks. But yeah, all right. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much all we've got here. What I will say, though, is I went into this record expecting to find a record that I enjoyed.
Yes, good.
I think I still found a record I enjoyed more than I expected to.
Lovely, that's great.
I'm gonna have to listen to this album a lot more. It's, for me, my favourite Radiohead albums are in this order: Kid A, OK Computer, and then something third.
Right.
I'm not sure.
I see.
It may well be this at this point.
I see.
I've kind of fallen off listening to some of the later Radiohead albums. I really, really fell in love with one of the Smile albums last year. So
sure. Yeah,
I've kind of got I'm gonna probably give myself a bleak few weeks and go back and listen to a lot of Radiohead records.
And I see that Tom York has just announced he's going to be releasing a project on Warp Records with someone else as well quite soon. So yeah, that's going to be fucking weird.
Yeah. So how do you feel going back to it?
Loved it. Loved every fucking bit of it. The ones that I knew, I kind of listen to these days anyway.
Yeah.
I've got them on various playlists.
Yeah.
And the ones that I'd forgotten about, apart from that kind of one where I was like, nah, not fussed, swept me up again. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So pleased. Yes, it wasn't number one. And yes, we are going to be doing OK Computer, but I'm also glad that we did a special on this because I think it's one of the best albums of the 90s. I genuinely
I mean, it's a wonderful record, man.
It's a fucking landmark.
That's such a big statement, but it's very difficult to argue with as well. Obviously, we don't put songs from bonus albums on our playlist.
No, we don't.
If we were going to,
though, okay,
it would be a 3.
Of course it's a 3.
Of course it's a 3. What would we go with?
I would say My Iron Lung, even though it's on like every single playlist of mine anyway.
100%,
but
that's nailed in.
Just too good not to.
Nailed in.
I'd probably do Fake Plastic Trees.
I probably would as well. It's hard because it's like everyone knows Fake Plastic Trees.
Absolutely.
But it is a perfect song.
Yeah. But I would want to do either Planet Telex or The Bends. Those first couple of songs.
Yeah.
Planet Telex is such a... And again, it's sort of, like we discussed, it's looking towards the next Radiohead iteration. So maybe it's one of those.
But I think I'd almost probably argue the toss about making a huge... sacrifice of one of the big songs,
because they're all singles as well.
Because I'd want to find space for something like Black Star or Sulk as well.
Sulk for sure, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'd probably be more inclined towards Black Star because it is genuinely one of my favourites on that record.
You did,
but I mean, luckily, the good news is we don't have to decide.
No, we do not. No.
So there we go. Thank fuck for that. Let's not wring our hands over too much. We will be back with Boo Radley's episode in the not too distant future.
Thank you again for everyone who got in contact after the Elastica episode. It was really nice. We got really high downloads on that. It was lovely to see.
Yeah. It was great, man. Thank you all for sticking with us through our erratic schedule. And do get in contact, whatever you think, and we'll see you soon.
All right then. Cheerio.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for checking out this episode of Pop Collaborate and Listen. It was produced and edited by us, for which we can only apologise. We're on Twitter at PCL Podcast. on Instagram, also at PCL Podcast, and facebook.com/PCL Podcast. All of these, plus links to our various Spotify playlists, etc., are on our website, which is pclpodcast.com. Please feel free to get in contact via any of the social media or on pclmusicpodcast@gmail.com.